At the WeRobot event, Tesla not only showed off Tesla bots, they had 20 of them walking among and interacting directly with the 3,000 attendees. The main criticism many had was that these were not autonomous but were human assisted. Today, we'll discuss what the Tesla AI team members said about this and explain why showcasing 20 biped robots itself is actually a very big deal, not only from the hardware perspective, but primarily from the AI and data perspective. It was rumored that 150 of the attendees were executives from manufacturing firms interested in the bot. Help me parse through all of this is Hans Nelson. Thank you so much for joining me, Hans.
Thanks for having me, Herbert.
Let's go right to this particular, the bot is so incredibly exciting. They released these photos very recently. This is, on their website, and they're sharing these beautiful photos of the Tesla bot doing work, but primarily at the home. And so that's the interesting thing. They are really showcasing that the bot can be at home, interacting with all of us, and these are the future. They feel very confident that this is going to happen. They're already posting it on their website. The bot handing packages. I don't know what this is. Why the bot is staring at the car, helping it. I don't know. You arrive home and it's ready to help you, but cooking, groceries, and so this is the bot. This particular video by John from Tesla Owner Silicon Valley went viral. I think 60 million or something like that. Watch this. Let's take a look at it.
Yes.
People here today.
It's insane. It's even talking.
Say hi to my friend John. John? Where's John?
Right here.
Oh, hello, John.
How are you? That's crazy. I'm talking to a robot. From San Jose. Probably from where you were born in Silicon Valley.
Wonderful. Where do you live in San Jose? Do you live in Albion Valley, or do you live in the Santa Teresa area?
No, I live in Los Gatos.
Los Gatos. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Nice area.
Where do you live?
Well, hiking I hear up there.
There is. Where do you live?
I live in Palo Alto at the current moment.
Figures. Yeah, this is awesome.
That's where they train us. That's where we get our builds, and that's where we live. So, wonderful group of people.
What's the hardest thing about being a robot?
Trying to learn how to be as human as you guys are. And that's something I try harder to do every day, and I hope that you will help us become that.
Well, awesome. Nice to meet you, Optimus.
You as well.
Okay, so you saw there, I was at the actual event. They had 20 robots walking around. They let you get right up close and personal, but they had, 4 or 5 people. Yes, it was human assisted. So for anybody who thought that was, not a human talking to you, that's not quite the case yet. There was some parts of it where I think my guess is that it was kind of a scripted, like AI assisted, where you press the button and it would dance. You press a button, it would walk. I don't know how that all worked, but the debate was it was human assisted. So we're going to go deeper into why they did this and what that means and why that's so important. But any thoughts of just as we shared this
Yeah. I think the first thought to share is that for people who are criticizing Tesla for incorporating some human teleoperation into this whole demonstration, I would ask, well, what other company have you ever seen do anything like this, where they allowed tens of their humanoid robots to go interact with normal humans who are not your employees in an open environment like this, and in a way that is completely safe, in a way that doesn't have any fumbles or gaffes that show flaws in your hardware or your software. Like, there were no Optimus falls that we are aware of. All of these things are walking off gantry. Like, there's nothing to catch them in case they trip or tip over. And the also remember that the purpose of this event was to give people a vision of what the future can look like. And so, they are doing some things in the background to try and create that experience that is the type of experience you will have one day with a fully autonomous humanoid robot. But the technology is not fully there yet. Like that's what we're building towards. And so they want to show us, hey, this is the future that we want to make a reality. And they're using, human teleoperation to help paint that picture. But even with that being the case, like the technical feat of being able to operate, even doing teleoperations with that low latency in that high stakes of an environment, that cleanly and smoothly, that is an incredible accomplishment from a technical standpoint. The number of bots that they have operating is encouraging to see that they have this many to work with. And what you're one of the other things that you're seeing here and getting an up close and personal experience of hands on is the process that Tesla's going to be doing on the back end to gather data from real world scenarios that they can then use to train the bot to do that autonomously in the future. And it's an incredibly impressive feat of engineering and showmanship and just technical prowess all the way around. Like I said, show me one other company who has actually put on something even remotely close to that event. And you can't. It doesn't
Yeah.
exist
They
here in
were
the
all
United States or in China or anywhere.
no, untethered. They're walking. And even if it was teleoperated or not, I don't think that the walking was, but the fact that it was unwalking, untethered, and none of them fell, that was already a huge leap forward. We're going to talk about this whole concept of how people initially were so skeptical, and then all of a sudden they're so bullish and thinking, why wasn't the bot already doing everything, and why wasn't it already alive, had consciousness? And then they were disappointed that it was that this was human assisted. So, one of the things that they had was you can interact with the bots. Of course, it's human assisted, but I'm going to turn off because you barely can hear him talking anyways. But I was here and look at that, right? So now, even if it was teleoperated or human assisted, you can see that the bot can grab items, can hand it over, and I, gave me a glass of a drink, and it handed to me, and I just had that very first experience of grabbing a drink. It's like it's as human like as possible. It's as if you handed me the drink and I grabbed it, but where its fingers were, where mine were, and I grabbed it, and it hit let go, and it let go, and I grabbed it. So that ability was great. Um, Here is Ashish, and he is a Tesla bot AI engineer. I spoke to him at length when I was there, and we spent a lot of time talking. And he's saying now that it's charging right now. So if you can see, it's tethered and it's being charged. I don't know where the actual charging port is. Maybe it's the butt area. Maybe it's up here. I don't know. Maybe in the back and neck. I don't know. But he posted this. He said, Optimus on a charging break during the 1010 event. What people missed about the 20 human assisted Tesla Optimuses is Tesla's intent and ability to scale up data collection. Since 2022, in AI Day, they have now 20 times more. They only had one at the time. They have 20 times more to be able to do this. Language, images, audio, right? So during this one event, they had 20 humans assisted bots just grabbing data. Language, images, audio, blessed with exact data. Robotics will need to build out. They were physically interacting. They were dancing. They were handing you things. They were even playing rock, paper, scissors. Just everything they could. So that's what he said. Thoughts on what this was all about? What he's saying here?
Yeah. So the place that Tesla is right now with the Optimus project is similar to the early days of the autopilot project for FSD when they were bringing in this video data, but they're trying to figure out, okay, how do we take this video data and actually train on it to create a good automatic driver. And at that point in time, we had to employ tons and tons of human data labelers to help actually make sense of the data that was being captured by cars in the real world. And that process, because it involved so many humans, was not very scalable. And we couldn't actually achieve the performance that we have today on FSD if we had never been able to automate the things that those human data labelers were doing. And that's the stage I think that we're at with the Optimus robot. The software problem for Optimus is significantly, an order of magnitude potentially more difficult than the software challenge for driving FSD. If you look at the vision that Elon is painting here of a robot that not only can do any task, but then can interact with you like a person would and have friendly banter um, and be able to do, basically any task that a human can do. That is a full general AI solution. And that is super, 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 super hard. We are on the path to solving that problem, but between here and there, we have to gather a ton of data, and then we have to come up with a structured way to make sense of that data, and then we have to come up with a structured way to turn the abstract sense that we make out of that data into a compressed knowledge model that then can run on a tiny computer inside of a robot that basically uses the same amount of power as like a low power computer. That challenge is still huge, massive, and we're still early on in the overall process of solving that. But we are doing the things that are going to be necessary. That's why we're building out Cortex. That's why we're going to be scaling up a fleet. That's why we're going to be using a large number of teleoperators for the foreseeable near-term future, is to help us get a handle on how do we take this data in and then make sense of it without having to involve humans in the loop, or to reduce our dependence on humans in the loop to as small of a number as possible as we scale up to, imagine if you had to have one teleoperator per robot, and then you're saying, okay, let's go ahead and make 500,000 robots next year. Well, that's multiple times the size of Tesla's current headcount already. And in the future, we're going to be talking about producing millions of these. And so you have to be able to wrangle that software problem in a way that is decoupled from having to have that many humans involved, between now and when we can really scale out the footprint of humanoid robots to hundreds of thousands and millions of units. But it's still the thing that is almost inevitable. To me, it feels like when Elon said, "Hey, a couple years from now, we're going to build the biggest battery factory in the world, and it's going to produce as many batteries as the entire world produces today." And this was back in 2014 when he announced the original Gigafactory. Now, it took much longer to actually ramp Giga Nevada up to that 30 some odd gigawatt hours a year of battery production capacity, but it happened. And now we're producing far, far, far more than that. And that's the type of track record we're talking about, moving into the future and doing this incredible task, which, like, when they solve the Optimus robot, it's going to be the single most transformative technological achievement that humans have ever accomplished, and it will do more to change the way that human society works than anything we've ever done ever.
Yeah. Thank you for saying all this. So, okay, let's break it down to what exactly were people expecting, why they were disappointed, what parts of this whole thing is actually advanced further than we expected, but what parts were people like expecting that didn't happen, right? So, number one, what I find interesting was just literally at the beginning of this year, January, 90+% of people I talked to would say that bots are nowhere near, will never be here, not ready at all, can't do anything. And at that time, I was saying, no, you can already have a bot in a factory doing pick and place for a very specific job. Of course, the next several months, just 2 months later, we had demo after demo after demo of companies showing that it can learn, it can move. Now, at this event, everybody assumed right away, many would talk to the bot and go, "Oh my God, the bot's alive. It's conscious. It's talking to me. Look at this range of conversation. Look how smart it is. Look how it can move and all that." And they were disappointed when they learned later that it was teleoperated. And I was already saying, no, that's teleoperated. We're not there yet. But people are now saying, well, see how silly it was. But no, there was tremendous progress because the bots were walking, they were untethered. And just the reason it can do teleoperation, there was a great post by somebody saying that assume that that's all they ever do, just this alone. You could already have tens of billions of dollars business. You could basically sell a bot to a Starbucks, let's say, but instead of paying an employee here in the U.S. with their dollar, with their salary, you pay somebody from somewhere else, much a lot cheaper. They can teleoperate and still do the job for a lot lower cost. It can lower your cost by 50%, by 75% already. Just that. Okay. But it's training everything. So we're getting to the point that everything you saw, every movement that happens, it will be done autonomously. So let's cover what Frida Dwan said. Frida is an analyst from Altimeter Capital, and we've been following her because she seems to have a very good point of view. And this is what she said: investor interest in robotics is skyrocketing, and it's easy to see why. But there's still many misconceptions, and few people realize just how early we are in this journey. While we all hope for a ChatGPT moment in robotics, I'm afraid we're not there yet. Okay, so now she breaks it down from hardware, and she breaks it down to data and AI. Hardware. Tesla optimists stirred plenty of debate about after Robotaxi Day. But here's the thing: showcasing 20 to 30 biped robots itself is a big deal. It signals that Tesla can now produce a few robots per week with consistent quality. Their hardware production, oops, their hardware production looks polished, and they probably mastered supply chains. So that's exactly my point. Now that you see 20 of them and you look at the hardware, this is ready to go wide, especially when we saw the hand, the third generation hand is already there. It looks like it's well on its way to being fully developed. The walking and balancing were smooth, none fell. A big deal in itself. That's crazy. There's no other company that can do this. If you ever see any demos of bots running and all that, those are cut to show you to remove the parts where they fell. Balancing while moving arms in a very different temperatures isn't easy. They had the confidence to let these robots walk around a crowd of 3,000 people. That alone should make history. That's what you were saying. No one's ever done this before. Many critics gripe about the teleoperated hand movements and speech, but remote operation with this level of dexterity and low latency, especially at this distance, is already super impressive. Crowd of 3,000, Tesla likely chose the safest backup option. Exactly. And the low level, the latency is amazing. It literally could play rock, paper, scissors with you. I can imagine that, right? The timing had to be exactly correct. It wasn't perfect, but that's how quick it can do. You saw it move very quickly. So, meaning to say that even if it was human assisted, the movement of how quickly the bot can move and the precise locations of the bot is already there, which means training
And
can go-
wirelessly too, like probably over some sort of a 5G network, like
Yeah.
just fully integrated in real
which means
time.
that training can go bonkers now. You can go ahead and make 1,000 of these bots today, have 1,000 teleoperators, and it's like it's already precise enough that it's worthy of training, right? Looking ahead, I believe humanoid robots could eventually cost around $20,000-$30,000 with 1,000 components weighing 150 pounds. Humanoid robot should be cheaper to build than an EV, which has 10,000 components and 4 to 5,000 pounds. So AI and data. There's a lot of talk about AI breakthroughs in robotics, but the reality is that we're still in the early stages. Robot models are heavily data starved. They don't have the data, and we have yet to see true world models or generalizations emerge. So this guy, Brad Porter, recently made an insightful point comparing robotics today to self-driving cars 20 years ago. I think, didn't you just say this? In the early days, progress felt rapid, but after 20 years and $160 billion invested, only one company provides self-driving rides in just 2 cities. Takeaway: early training phases bring quick gains, but as accuracy improves, progress slows down. When models are this data starved, even small data boosts can drive significant progress. So it's important not to go overly excited by early breakthroughs. That's a very good point, right? So that you see these bots, all of them doing these things, and you're going, oh my God, every company is going to be able to do bots doing everything. That's not the case. Or you see, oh, did you not know Mercedes can do level 3 autonomous in the highway? Those are the
Yep.
easy stuff. Those are the easy stuff. Now, they're data starved because they don't have data centers. They don't have the millions of cars driving data. What's your thoughts on this point here?
I I think it's very important to think about something like this, but I also think it's important not to draw just a straight analogy and think, oh, it's taken us 20 years, more than 20 years since the DARPA challenge to get to one not really scalable commercial solution in Waymo. Um, but the infrastructure that we're seeing around us right now that is developing because of ChatGPT and the advances in artificial intelligence, that is a technological wave that we can piggyback on top of to do both solving FSD finally for the first time in a general scalable way. And then that will also be applicable to the Optimus humanoid robot project. And so I think it really does compress that timeline that while the scenario that she's talking about of robots being data starved and this being kind of a whole new and huge challenge, that is the thing that I was describing earlier. That we're at the very beginning of a big hard problem, and we are seeing some really cool progress, but it's because it's low hanging fruit. There's lots of things that you can do that feel like big steps forward because there are challenges that have been super hard to solve in robotics for so long, and all of a sudden now we have some tools that are able to show us some early indications of progress. But when you think about how quickly NVIDIA right now is driving down the cost and the scalability of and just quantity of compute, um, it's much like for most of the last 20 years, FSD or autonomous driving was struggling up against the limitations of Moore's law, and Nvidia is making Moore's law look like chump change. Like they're accelerating things so much faster than the progress that computing was making under Moore's law. And so we do have a higher rate of change, a higher pace of innovation. We're compounding our ability to do this complicated training and compute and inference at a dramatic pace right now. And the implications of that are that this humanoid robot problem is probably one that, even though it's a bigger challenge to solve than just autonomous driving, it's probably one that we can solve in less time than has elapsed from the DARPA challenge to today. And that's exciting. And the implications of that then are, once again, you look forward to 20 years and it's very difficult to imagine a world where we don't have millions of humanoid robots and that our economy and our world are benefiting from uh, deflation and abundance that people right now don't think is even remotely possible.
I think I want to comment though that electric vehicles had one use case, which is driving, but they need to be driving in this anything can happen kind of scenario, and you need to be able to recognize what's happening and do it. A bot has unlimited use cases, so I think that you can have bots already today go out and do a task, a very simple, specific task like pick and place. It can do that today. So this
Definitely.
idea that it's going to take years and years and years, we're talking
But
about like can it?
the point that Brett made in your conversation with him at Figure, I think, is the one to keep in the back of your mind on this. Yes, a robot can do that. The question is how many human support personnel are required for that one robot to do its tasks in the factory. And right now it's, significantly more humans than per, you need like two, three, four, or five humans per robot in order to keep it able to do that task for an 8-hour shift
No,
continuously.
no.
And,
So
and we
he's
need to
planning.
drive that down over time.
Yeah, Figure is saying that by January they're going to have bots already working 20-hour shift doing that one task of that specific work
And
cell
how
in
many
the BMW.
human
But it took
personnel will
them.
be
Oh, I don't know,
involved in
but yeah.
that? Yeah, so
But no, by
that's the
that point
question.
it should be no. No, actually, they're saying that by that point it should actually be equivalent to the human. It needs to work faster. It needs to get there, but let's say 6 months from now, you're going to be able to do that one task. And then if you wanted to do another task, it can do that. But it'll take you years and years and years with lots of data to be able to do all these tasks that people are expecting, that you can talk to it, that can do everything you want it to do. So just to finish this off, she says that data quality matters a lot too. Data quality, again, just like in self-driving, people try to sidestep the data bottleneck. But the truth is, you need massive amounts of high quality real world data. Robotics will face the same challenge. And that's why creating thousands and thousands of them now is what they're for. And that's what people are missing. They're making these bots now for teleoperation so that they can get the training. So I know all of this might sound basic or even a bit discouraging, celebrating that robots can walk, that they can balance, they can move smoothly, or the ability to produce a few with consistent quality. But this is where we are today. The same goes for robotics AI models. Robotics, we're still laying the groundwork for what's possible. Every step forward is worth celebrating. So, you've got Tesla already increasing the number of job openings for virtual reality teleoperation of its Tesla bot. And then on the job opening, it says, we rely on imitation learning to train Tesla bot to perform new tasks. This requires collecting thousands of human demonstrations and producing a massive data set that can be used to train our neural networks. To facilitate this data collection, we're building a state-of-the-art VR rig that can be used by our bot operators. This will allow them to seamlessly experience the world as a Tesla bot does and remotely operate the bot. So that's what you saw at the event. This rig working very well, perfectly. And, they're going to hire thousands of these people now to train it. Autonomy telemetry, VR application. So Barbara said this great idea for Tesla to demonstrate the possibility of Optimus working in the food service industry, handing out something to a customer. And in fact, she was saying that it can reduce overhead, improve sanitation, track customers to interact with the bot, track interactions. Again, even if it's not yet autonomous, even if you had a human managing it, you can already reduce the cost. Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff sent out a tweet saying he'd love to be to do agent force, which is, let's say you have a person at the hotel, that bot there needs to know everything about the hotel. He'd love to be able to be the one to have somebody to train that. Yeah. And then he sort of said, imagine a person who's disabled, can't leave home, being able to make a living controlling an Optimus bot remotely, making drinks for people, moving packages, whatever. Elon said, yeah.
Yeah, it is quite the future that it's leverage. We're unlocking a form of leverage to be able to produce more services and more products with less human investment of time. And what that means is that humans get to enjoy having a lot more stuff and at prices that are unthinkable today. Just like it would be shocking and almost unimaginable for someone from the year 1900 to imagine being able to even just, ride around in modern cars, much less all the other things that we have access to. And that, pretty normal everyday people get all this stuff. Like those were luxuries that only the richest people in the world had access to at that point in time, if they even had access to them at all. Like, no one had access to the world's entire information via the internet, even in 1940, 1950. The process of information retrieval was nearly impossible.
Mhm.
And now, if you have a rudimentary cell phone and, cell service out in the middle of nowhere, you have that at your disposal. That type of democratization of access to luxury goods is the thing that we are rapidly accelerating right now.
What do you think about this rumor that 150 of the attendees were executives from manufacturing firms that was interested in a bot? I don't know where this came from. We had this Bradford Ferguson post this, but he didn't give any kind of reference or anything. That. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. If I was involved in the manufacturing industry, I would certainly be watching this event closely, whether I was there in person or not. We did see the Stellantis president there, and he was standing next to Kimball. So we at least know for sure that there was one such person. The likelihood
Hmm.
that there's more than one such person is high. You know, I thought that potentially there was going to be an announcement of some sort of partnership with Stellantis when we saw him there. we did not see that. And I think the fact that we didn't see any of those partnership announcements really does uh, add a little bit more weight to the idea that these are just, there's maybe potentially a whole pool of industry people who are invited to witness this, who they're going to be starting conversations with, and
Makes
that
sense.
all of that is something that they're kind of keeping under wraps more at this point in time. They're not really ready to make public announcements yet.
Okay.
But that there is, this is something that's a little bit deeper, but potentially more significant than just one partnership with one large name company.
Love it. Yep. Bots, robotics, bots on wheels and bots walking around. And we're going to hear partnerships with autonomous OEMs, large auto OEMs, and we're going to hear partnerships with companies, big
Yep.
companies. I'm going to play this just the last minute. This was AI generated. I think I have no idea where this came from, but it's such a beautiful ad for Tesla Bot. I don't know what the music. I don't know if we're going to get copyrighted. So, do I cut the music or do I
Yeah, I'll
take over it?
probably cut it.
Oh shit! Sorry. But the music makes it so epic, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is AI generated, but they're just showing you the future or where this is going to go. And back to our conversation from yesterday, Tesla's achievement or Elon's achievements with SpaceX is unbelievable, and we're seeing the future.
Yep.
Bots walking
Well,
around.
and not just walking around, but flying on those SpaceX rockets to the
Correct.
moon and to Mars to help
There you
make
go.
these environments more hospitable to humans. It is an incredibly exciting future, and it's like Elon said. There's also a number of risks and potential pitfalls. Like there's a small chance that AI will be the end of everything for humanity, and that will be
Yeah.
catastrophic. Or it's either that, or we see the most incredible rate of progress that we've ever seen, and get to live in a sci-fi version of the future that we can all be super excited about.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Hans. Appreciate the breakdown here of what exactly was our progress, what wasn't, why is teleoperation and human assistance still very valuable. It's about the data, and the manufacturing looked like it's ready to go. They're hiring people now. They're going to grow this thing like crazy. Thanks, Hans. Appreciate you outlining the future with me. See you soon. Follow him on his YouTube channel and his X channel at Hans C. Nelson. Thanks, everybody. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.